everyone. This is Commissioner Dave Yamamoto. Today is Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, and we'll call this meeting to order at 8 a.m. Before we get started, I'd like to remind everyone to please mute your phones. You can do this by pressing star 6. Please unmute yourself when pressing star 6. It's very important for all others to remain muted. And I want to start off by saying I hope everyone had a very happy and sane 4th of July. It was a beautiful weekend. So I'm hoping everyone enjoyed their time, and now it's back to the grind again. So I want to welcome everyone to the Board of Commissioners Community Update, and let's do a Commissioner's roll call. Commissioner Bell, are you with us this morning?
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. And Commissioner Scar?
Good morning, everyone. I'm here.
Good morning. Everyone back safe and sound. How about that? So let's start with Adventist Health Tillamook, as we always do. Eric Swanson. Eric.
Hey, good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Hey, we have 9 patients in the hospital today. Less than 3 COVID patients admitted. Again, those are patients with a positive COVID test. And 9 surgery cases scheduled today. All of them are elective or non-urgent. Our ambulance did 8 911 transports yesterday and 1 transfer. I asked Jackie this morning how many calls for service we responded to Friday through Monday. That's our holiday weekend. And there were 70 calls for service that our ambulance crews responded to. So a busy weekend for them. Number of hospitalized patients with COVID-19 across Oregon is 418, which is 16 more than yesterday. 53 COVID-19 patients in intensive care unit beds, 6 less than yesterday. 21 of those patients are on ventilators. 5.1% of the 4,550 emergency department visits across Oregon yesterday were for COVID-like illness. And this morning, there are 18 available adult ICU beds out of 340 total. That's 5% availability. And 67 available adult non-ICU beds out of 1,940, or 3% availability. And unless you have questions for me, that's all I've got for you this morning.
Thank you so much, Eric. Any questions for Eric Swanson? Eric, as always, I do have one. So it seems like the availability of hospital beds and especially ICU beds is going down. Are there major concerns there at this point?
Well, Commissioner, to be honest with you, I was out all week last week, so I was actually quite surprised when we only had 18 available adult ICU beds out of the 340. That is concerning to me. The good news is we're boarding no patients in the emergency department this morning, which means there's nobody waiting for a bed assignment. But that's not, 18, and that's just in our region. 18 beds is not good. So we'll see. This, by the way, this is, to be transparent, this is data that the OHA posted on Friday. Because of the holiday weekend, they haven't uploaded new data yet. So it'll be interesting to see what the data shows today.
I understand. Thank you so much for that. And it is interesting that we had so many ambulance calls over the weekend, but this is a busy weekend.
Yep, it's definitely one of our busiest.
Thank you for that. Any other questions for Eric? Thank you so much, Eric. So let's move on directly to the Coastal Caucus. I do see we have Representative Weber with us, and I'm not sure I see any others. Do we have Representative Gomberg or Senator Anderson or Senator Armitage with us?
Well, Gomberg is here with you this morning, but let's hear from Representative Weber first.
Thank you so much. Representative Weber.
I think I'm unmuted. Well, happy 5th of July.
Thank you so much.
It was a busy weekend, and you've heard about our hospital being able to deal with it. I have to say that I've never seen so many fireworks in all my life, and I really want to do a shout out to the Cummings family and the Widmer family up at the mouth of the canyon for their July 2nd fireworks display. It was once again outstanding, and The number of people there was also outstanding. And I also want to thank all of the people who worked for at least the last 2 weeks to prepare for that. It's not the beach, but in the shadow of all of the mountains in the canyon, it's absolutely gorgeous. So I want to thank them again. This was parade weekend, let me tell you. There was Clover's Day, and what a delightful parade, led by a cow, of course. And it was short, but it was had a lot of enthusiastic people there. It was a really fun parade. I also participated in the Clatskanie Parade and the Warrenton Parade yesterday. And I drove home along the beach last night, and all along the beach, there were fireworks displays, people shooting off their own fireworks, and it really had a real festive appearance to it. And of course, there were a lot of police and medical calls that were also in that area. Traffic was great until you got to Rockaway, and Rockaway was just, there were so many people out on that beach. It was amazing, just absolutely amazing. I've got a busy week ahead of me. We've got today the Pacific City Chamber of Commerce is meeting. Don't forget about that. I've also got several education committee meetings on recruitment, retention, and compensation of teachers. And it's really has a lot of participation in the committee, and we're going to be coming up with some recommendations for legislation or for action by the education department soon. The Coastal Caucus meets this week. And, you know, the Coastal Caucus is a very important, integral part of bringing to Salem and bringing to the state of Oregon how important the contributions are of the coastal community. And so I applaud Representative Gomberg for once again chairing that and bringing all of the concerns, whether they have to do with cables or fishing or dairy or logging, to this group. And this is a group of people that works together. It doesn't make any difference what the letter is after their name. It's what we do is to work for the betterment of the coast. I also wanted to tell you that I had a tour of the North County Recreation District, and I wanted to just say to all of you pickleball players out there, have you gone up there and seen their court? They have done a fabulous job with their pickleball court, and I would say that people come from all over to be able to play. They're along the river in a wooded area. It's beautiful, and it's in tip-top condition. You know, they're going to be looking at starting their new pool soon, and they need additional support for making that happen. And so if anyone has any ideas for any additional support for the North County Recreation District in their effort to make a world-class pool up there, don't stay quiet. Get involved. And I think that that's all I have to report for this morning. I hope that all of your sunburns go away quickly and turn tan, and you enjoy the rest of the week, because I have heard a rumor that we may have some sprinkles this week. So, thank you.
Thank you, Representative Weber. Representative Gomberg.
Well, Commissioners, Tillamook County, let me tell you, it is not a rumor. I am here on the Lincoln-Tillamook border, and it's doing more than sprinkling right now. What a difference a day makes. And I wanted to say, first of all, that for the first time in, gosh, I can't remember how long, I will not be at the Pacific Nestucca Chamber today. Even when we were in legislative session, I was zooming in to give them updates. But at noon today, I am meeting with U.S. Senator Ron Wyden down in Newport to talk about coastal infrastructure, and in particular, money that we're trying to acquire to repair some of our coastal waterworks. It was a perfect day yesterday, the 4th of July. I, too, was parading. I'll tell you, rather than walking the parade, I got out my little tiny miniature bicycle and was riding up and down the parade route. For some reason this morning, my back is just killing me. But there were certainly more people than I have ever seen out on our beaches and here in our coastal communities, which is great news. Anybody that had a 4th of July party yesterday and had friends and neighbors over knows that when the party's over, you got to do cleanup. And I am seeing more debris on our beaches than ever before as well. Fortunately, there are a number of organizations that are doing beach cleanups today. I know this is kind of last-minute notice, but hopefully, if you're interested, you've already taken note. 11 o'clock today, beach cleanups up and down the coast. If you're interested in finding one close to you, I would go to the webpage of the Surfrider Foundation. They are coordinating a lot of this work, and go on out, and the good folks from Solve, who do beach and park and river cleanups, will fix you up with gloves and bags and the tools you need to help clean up some of that firework debris and the other stuff left behind by our visitors, so that we can get it into our sanitation process, rather than letting the tide take it out and despoil our wonderful waterways or wash back up on the beaches later. I'll also say regarding fireworks that increasingly I'm seeing a lot of communities up and down the coast that are discouraging or even outright banning the sale of local fireworks, because our drought and wildfire seasons are an increasing concern. And I don't know that kind of prohibition is going to have much overall impact. But at least it gives our first responders some tools to use when they come across a situation that seems to be getting out of hand. I know that we've had an increasing number of calls, both for fire and emergency response and medical response, and fireworks are part of that. So, let's be realistic about the good news, that how fun, exciting, and celebratory they are, but also how they have the potential to cause problems, particularly as we continue to wade through this ongoing drought situation, the longest and driest drought in Oregon's history. So to that point, goodness, it was about 2 years ago that the Labor Day fires just devastated Oregon. And I tell people that on that one single weekend, more acres were on fire in Oregon than during the entire 10-year period that we know historically as the Tillamook burn. But not only were more acres on fire, the other major difference is that rather than just burning trees, which is bad enough, they were also burning houses. So the question becomes, what do we do about it? What do we do to mitigate fire risk and to create conditions where we can minimize the potential for fires to get started? Well, one of the things that we have talked about on these calls before is the Forest Accord, a set of compromises that were agreed to last year and approved by the legislature to better manage our forests, which includes maintaining the jobs in the forest lands, but also starting to find ways to better manage the subgrowth, the other vegetation in the area, and the grasses that are growing out there. I remind people that it's been a wet spring, including today, and that we get a little complacent about fires when it's raining outside, but the fact remains that if your grass is growing in your front lawn, as mine is, that plenty of grass is growing in our wildfire zones as well, and come late summer, it's going to be very dry and exacerbate our wildfire concerns. So the other thing I need to talk about that the legislature did is pass legislation last session that calls upon our utility companies to better plan for the wildfire season, and in particular to begin looking at planned outages, so that if there are high wind conditions or other dangerous conditions, they will announce that they're shutting down the electric utility, because we have certainly seen in some situations that the wildfires were caused by down lines or sparking or blown transformers. So that's going on. And then finally, with the potential, quite candidly, for the most contention, is that we are identifying an area of risk known as the wildlands urban interface, basically where the forest and neighborhoods come together, and trying to determine how much risk there are in these neighborhoods for wildfires. The legislature went back and forth on this, ultimately decided they would turn the issue over to the Department of Forestry, and a room full of certified experts would deal with the issue of what do we do when forest lands and wildfire areas come together with neighborhoods. How do we mitigate the risk? How do we protect houses? How do we make sure that there's minimal potential for wildfires to spread into our neighborhoods? And I want to tell everybody this morning that they should go to the webpage created by the Department of Forestry, which is the Wildfire Explorer. Write that down, Wildfire Explorer. You can type in your own address, and it will come back with a report on what kind of wildfire risk applies to the property where you live. Are you high risk? Are you low risk? Are you no risk? And if you're, in fact, in a high-risk area, you will be hearing from the Department of Forestry later this month with some advice on how you can build more defensible space around your homes, cutting back vegetation, or not stacking firewood or other combustibles next to the house. How further down the road we may be looking at requirements for what kind of materials are used for houses that are built in high-risk areas. And, this is good news, bad news. It's contentious because on one hand, we have the opportunity, and in fact, I think the obligation to reduce the risk of wildfire spread. On the other hand, we have to say that if your home is identified as being in a high-risk area, that may affect your resale value. It may affect your insurance. That building houses out of more resilient materials is going to cost more money. So it's a contentious issue with a lot of different perspectives. You can start by going to the Wildfire Explorer webpage, looking up your own property. I live in the woods. I've got trees just 50 feet from the house. I live in the area that was part of the fire zone 2 years ago. But looking up my own property, I found that it was rated at low risk, as was my entire neighborhood. So it's an interesting webpage with a lot of good information. Again, Wildfire Explorer by the Department of Forestry will give you more information. So that's the news that I've got for you this morning, Commissioners. Yes, the Coastal Caucus will be meeting later this week. Always a good meeting with good people trying to do good things for the coast. I think Representative Weber covered it well, so I won't repeat that, except to say that we are continuing to do the best work we can for our coastal communities when we take your concerns, your cares, and your priorities to Salem.
Thank you so much, Representative Gomberg. Do we have any questions for either Representative Gomberg or Representative Weber? And Representative Gomberg, I appreciate very much your thoughts about fire. We're still in a very high-risk fire environment, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about my tour just a couple of weeks ago with ONC Forest Lands, Oregon and California Forest Lands, and our tour of the Archie Creek Fire up the Santiam Canyon. That was quite a tour. But again, thank you both for being here this morning. I guess I should ask very quickly, have either Senator Anderson or Senator Armitage joined us this morning? Hearing none. Let's move on to the Tillamook County Community Health Center. Do we have Marlene Putman and or Ed Colson with us?
Yes, good morning, Commissioner. Ed Colson's here.
Good morning.
Good morning, and good morning, Tillamook County. The Health Department has some general summer safety tips for everyone. The hot weather has arrived, and with it has outdoor fun. But the summer months also bring unique hazards, and the Oregon Health Authority has tips on staying safe and healthy as you head out for family gatherings, camping trips, and other outdoor activities. So some summer safety tips. Remember to apply sunscreen, at least SPF 15 when spending time in the sun, and apply a chemical insect repellent containing DEET to avoid mosquito and tick bites, which can spread diseases such as West Nile virus and Lyme disease. Use cool compresses and take cold showers and baths to keep yourself cool during the hottest hours of the day, which is usually between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Please avoid brown or foamy water, which could be a sign of a harmful algae bloom. And then some animals, such as bats, can carry rabies. So please do not approach or feed any wildlife, and call your local Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife office if you encounter a sick animal. And then stay indoors if the area becomes smoky due to wildfires. Remember to never swim alone and avoid swimming in bad weather. We wanted to remind everyone that COVID cases are on the rise. Last week we were busy responding to a number of calls about an increase of COVID cases in our community. We spent the last half of the week distributing about 1,000 at-home testing kits to our community. Dr. Seidlinger with OHA shared that since Oregonians aren't required to report positive COVID-19 test results to the state, he estimates that for every positive case that's being reported by the state, there are likely 30 others that aren't counted. So with COVID being so widespread, you should assume that if you were in a large crowd this weekend or went into an establishment, you were exposed to COVID. So we do recommend testing yourself 5 to 7 days after attending the event. COVID-19 home test kits are still currently available from the county libraries, as well as at all of our clinic locations. You can also receive them at your home by ordering them at covidtest.gov, and they'll come via the U.S. Postal Service, as well as getting tested at any of our healthcare facilities and others throughout the county, as well as at your local pharmacies. So our COVID-19 county data, our weekend case count from the 1st through the 3rd was 20. Our 7-day case count from June 26th to July 2nd, 76. Our 14-day case count from the 19th through the 2nd was 146. So our total cases for June were 258, and our total cases for July from the 1st to the 3rd is 20. In total, we've had 4,252 cases to date since March 2020. We've had 66 COVID-19 related deaths and 156 related hospitalizations due to COVID-19. As far as our active outbreaks, we have 0. Public Health is currently monitoring 16 for potential outbreak. And so our Tillamook County is currently at high community transmission. So our health department and our public health staff still strongly encourages people to wear masks in indoor public settings, but masks are still required when you do come into healthcare settings for patients, visitors, and staff. On June 29th of this year, OHA updated our population estimates from 2020 to 2021 data from Portland State University estimates and the 2025 year American Community Survey estimates for the state, county, zip code, age, and sex. So this has affected our percentages for COVID-19 vaccine data. So as of June 27th, of those aged 18 years and older living in Tillamook County, 76.7% have initiated their COVID-19 vaccination and have received at least one dose. 71% have completed their primary series, and 43.9% have received an extra dose of any COVID-19 vaccine in addition to completing their primary series. If you still need support for COVID-19, OHA has a COVID-19 case support line, which is staffed, and you can give them a call at 866-917-8881. That phone line is staffed by OHA Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and is closed for the holidays. You could report your positive test result there. You could receive information on isolation guidelines and support with isolation. And if you didn't want to give them a call, you can go to oregon.gov/positive COVID test and report your result there. If you do test positive, please follow the OHA isolation guidelines. Isolate, which means staying at home from work and away from others for at least 5 days from the start of symptoms or a positive test result if without symptoms. And then please seek treatment as early as possible if you're at a high risk for severe COVID-19 illness. Pediatric Moderna and Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines are now approved for use in Oregon for children ages 6 months and older. The 2-dose Moderna vaccine series is available to children 6 months to under 6 years of age. A 3-dose Pfizer vaccination series is available to children 6 months to under 5 years old. Be sure to talk with your trusted healthcare professional if you have questions or concerns. And our public health line remains available by giving us a call at 503-842-3940. Boosters are available still, so you are protected best from COVID-19 when you stay up to date on the recommended vaccines. Everyone 5 years and older should get one booster after completing their primary series, and those age 50 and older and those immunocompromised should get 2 booster doses. The vaccines are available from our health center by appointment, Safeway Pharmacy, Fred Meyer Pharmacy, Tillamook Pharmacy, and our partners at Adventist Health and Nehalem Bay Health Center. Once again, if you have any additional questions, our public health nurses are available at 503-842-3940 for questions, and we'll return those calls within 24 business hours. And with that, that's our health department update, and we'll turn it back over to you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much for that, Ed. Appreciate you being here. Do we have any questions for Ed Colson? Thank you again, Ed. Let's move on to the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy. Gail Nelson. Gail, are you with us this morning?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Just an announcement. Thank you, Ed, for the updates. And at the Nehalem Bay Health Center and Pharmacy, a reminder that our patient transportation service is up and running. And we are asking individuals if they have transportation barriers to and from their clinical appointments, please give us a call at 800-681. Again, that is 800-368-5182. And that's my very brief update for this morning, unless there are any questions.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate you being here. Any questions for Gail Nelson? Thank you so much. Let's move on to the Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Frank Hanna-Williams. Frank, are you with us?
Good morning, Commissioner.
Yes.
Frank Hanna-Williams, Director, Tillamook Family Counseling Center. Not too much of a detailed update today. If you have questions or concerns about services, appointments, you may reach us at 503-842-8201. And you can reach us also at 1-800-962-2851. Behavioral Health Services for Tillamook County residents. If you have any questions, I will answer them, but that is my greeting for the week, and any information I'll answer.
Thank you, Frank. Appreciate you being here. Any questions for Frank Hanna-Williams? Thank you again, Frank.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Sheriff Josh Brown. Sheriff, tell us what went on this weekend.
Good morning, Commissioners. Well, first off, I want to apologize if can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I want to apologize if I sound a little bit groggy. I was out late last night trying to help our deputies shag calls and keep the county as safe as it can be. As everybody knows, I don't get much time out working on patrol, and last night I did. It was a busy evening, but like I said, I was out late, so I apologize if I sound groggy. I was also, I heard Representative Weber mention the Clover's Day Parade and all the activity in Rockaway. I was able to take part in both the Rockaway Parade and the Clover's Day Parade. That's the first time personally that I've been involved in either of those parades. So both of them are wonderful. It just shows how strong of a community bond our county has. So those were both very fun parades to be a part of, very fun community events, and I was very lucky to be a part of those. We'll be able to continue doing those in the future, so thank you to those communities for letting me be a part of those. I did try to pull stats this morning, but the computer program that we use to track them was not signing in, so I will have to pull those stats and have them for everybody next week because it did feel like a very, very busy weekend. I also believe that a lot of areas did clear out slightly because of the timing of the 4th of July. I know Barview Park had some empty spots when I drove through. I did talk with some people from Sand Lake, and quite a few of the campers from there had pulled out, so that it kept things fairly calm. We did have a fairly major event on Saturday, which I'm sure a lot of people are aware of. It was all over social media, where we had a subject flee from our Sand Lake deputy, and it turned into a pursuit, where the subject fled out of the vehicle as well. I'm not going to be able to talk about that any more than what I just mentioned because that is an active investigation. So I don't want to mention anything else about that. But like I said, I don't have stats for you guys this morning. I will have those next week. because I do want to pull those and get the numbers and kind of just see where we're at. So it definitely was a very busy weekend. There was quite a few recreational accidents out at Sand Lake. I know Lifelike came in a couple of times. But again, without being able to pull those stats exactly, I couldn't give you exact numbers. So it was a busy weekend, a lot of community involvement from the sheriff's office with the parade. It was great. And deputies did a great job trying to keep the community as safe as possible. So with that, I can take questions and hopefully have stats for everybody next week.
Thank you, Sheriff. And you don't sound groggy at all. You sound perfect this morning. Any questions for Sheriff Brown? Sheriff, thank you for being here. Get some sleep.
Thank you.
So let's move on to Department of Emergency Management. Randy Thorpe. Randy.
Good morning, Commissioner. I don't really have any additional updates. Representative Gomberg really covered the wildland fire issues very well, and that's I'll just echo what he said, that's going to be very important that we start preparing for any type of emergency that way during the summer months. So other than that, that's all about what I have. I've heard some good information from the health department about issues, and so I'll just wrap it up.
Thank you, Randy, for being here. Appreciate that very much. Any questions for Randy? Thanks, Randy. So, this being the first Tuesday of the month, we are very pleased and honored to have the Oregon Department of Transportation with us. Mostly, I think, to speak about Highway 6. Bill Jablonski. Bill.
Good morning, Commissioner. Good morning, Tillamook County. Very pleased to be here every month.
Thank you. Appreciate you being here.
Well, as you know, the main focus and also what brings me here every month is the House Bill 4053. That's Representative Weber's sponsored bill on Oregon 6 safety. That is front and center on my plate, of course, every month. We are expecting to have a kickoff of that project the end of August, first part of September. ODOT does have a deadline of August of 2023 to submit a report to the legislature. So we are steadily working behind the scenes to get our consultant up to speed to support us and support the effort. We have a very robust public involvement process as part of that Oregon 6 study as well. And I'm very excited to be able to kick that off and share that with the community, with both Tillamook and Washington counties, both counties that are part of the Oregon 6 corridor later on, hopefully at the end of the summer, first part of September. I do want to update the team that our ongoing commitment to safety, not just on Oregon 6, but also with all of our state highways in my area here. I can report that we are going to do an upgrade to the passing signage, lanes, and striping. There's 9 locations along the corridor in Oregon 6 that are not going to get just a refresh, but we're actually going to place lane reduction arrows at the near terminus ends of the passing lanes. These are a recognized federal application. You may have seen them. They're the large white arrows that are painted on the pavement themselves when you come near the transition of the passing lane, and signage that goes along with that, notifying drivers that there's a merge ahead. Currently, the dashed lines just stop, and there's kind of an assumed merge that drivers have to do. This is an upgrade for these passing lane locations until we get further feedback from the safety study on what we need to improve on and what we need to look at for opportunities. We have a district maintenance paving job in Oregon 53 through Tillamook County. I do want to report that we've received a number of complaints about contractor behavior and also about the schedule of the project. I want to let folks know that ODOT is addressing the undesirable behavior from the contractor with the public interface. We're addressing those concerns, and just let everyone know that the third week of July is the scheduled due date for that Oregon 53 paving. So we appreciate everyone's patience while we do that work. Of course, it's the summertime. It's also a busy time for people going to the coast, so there's always a conflict there with trying to get maintenance done as well as having summer travel as well too. That is all the update I have, unless there's any questions.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate very much you being here. Any questions for Bill Jablonski? Thank you, Bill. Let's go on to the commissioner's update. Let's start with Commissioner Scar. Aaron.
Good morning. Thank you. Well, I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th of July. It definitely was a busy time in our county. We had an opportunity to get out, do a little touristing down in South County on Sunday and took a nice hike at Sitka Sedge. And although there were people there, it was not overwhelmingly crowded. So I hope that other areas of the county experienced the same busyness, but not overwhelmed. We also had a chance to get out and do some fishing out of Garibaldi. And again, it was busy, but not overly so. So maybe we just chose the right experiences to not be in the overwhelmed areas, but it was a nice weekend. Couple things I wanted to address. One of them relates specifically to fishing. Some folks have been involved in conversations recently. There were some public meetings related to the fall Chinook, wild fall Chinook fishery here in Tillamook County in the Tillamook Basin. We have currently a coastal multi-species conservation and management plan that directs the fishing here in the Tillamook Basin and other basins as well, but I'm going to talk about Tillamook. This plan has been in place for 8 years, and each year ODFW does a count of fish to determine how many fish are returning and to see if we have enough returning wild fish to field a fishery and to allow take of wild fish. This year's study had numbers that came in below the conservation threshold, and as a result of that, there will be no retention of wild fall Chinook in Tillamook Bay or the rivers that feed Tillamook Bay. This is a significant issue for our community as it relates to the economics of our community as well as to the survival of wild fish. Obviously, we're all very interested in maintaining a wild fish run, but this is concerning that we will not have a fishery. The official release from ODFW came out on Friday the 1st, so if you're interested in looking at their release, that is up on the ODFW website under news releases, and it just lets us know that the final decision has been made relating to no wild fall Chinook retention. And this, the timeline for that is, let me just make sure I'm clear, August 1st to December 31st is the timeline that affects. If you have questions about that, you are welcome to call our local ODFW office. They can explain more to you about that. The number they give is for Robert Bradley here at our local office, so you can take a look at that. It is certainly a concerning trend for our area. If you look at the last few years of fall Chinook return, it has been decreasing, which is of concern. There is, however, a rather natural cycle of salmon, which you can also see in their data, and we expect that there will be a recovery in the next year, and we all have our fingers crossed that in fact happens. So just for those of you who are interested, that's what's going on with the fall Chinook. Then I just wanted to let everybody know there are 2 different meetings coming up that if you are interested in just staying up with what's going on for the county, we have our Housing Commission meeting that will occur this Thursday morning as usual. It is both available online as well as out at the Port of Tillamook Bay. If you're just interested to know what the Housing Commission is up to, that is at 9 a.m. on Thursday morning. We invite you to join us for that meeting. With that, I will turn it back to you, Chair Yamamoto.
Thank you, Commissioner Starr. Let's go to Commissioner Bell.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I want to say happy 5th of July to everyone. It was a wonderful 4th of July weekend. I went and watched fireworks in Rockaway Beach, and it was delightful. It was an excellent show, and Rockaway is just such a community that traditionally celebrates the 4th of July beautifully, and so there were lots of families and lots of kids and lots of people, but everybody was happy, and it was just lovely. It was as nice as it could be. And I want to mention a couple things. Speaking of fish, I got an inquiry from someone over the weekend who wants to know if the Memaloose boat launch is going to be dredged in time for fall fishing. And as far as I know, as far as Joanne Wolfley knows, who's the director of Tillamook County Parks, so that project is scheduled and it should be accomplished in time for fall fishing. So for folks who don't know, there's a sand accretion under the boat launch at Memaloose, which is in Tillamook Bay, and so at low tide, you can't launch a boat at least from one of the lanes, and some people have said from both of the lanes. So we need to do this periodically. It happens every 5 years or so that area has to be dredged. But dredging is a very, very complicated, multi-jurisdictional, years-long process because there are so many different agencies that have to get involved and sign off in order for the dredging to happen. So it's as far as we know, it's on track. And additionally, not everybody knows that Tillamook County commissioners work full-time, and what that often means is that people call us and message us and email us at all hours of day and night, on the weekends, on holidays. When something's on their mind, they let us know. So I heard from folks this weekend who are upset about the showers not being open at Barview Jetty Campground. And what I can say to that, because I'm the Parks Liaison, is that we're radically understaffed. We have been for some time. We only have a few seasonal employees. We try to get 15 to 18 seasonal employees, and we just have a handful. And so mostly it's permanent staff doing all of those jobs, and we're frankly lucky to be keeping the bathrooms clean. So we prioritize the bathrooms. We're not cleaning the showers. We're sorry. It's nice to be able to have a shower when you're camping, and we hope and plan to do that when we have more staff. So that's the reason for that. I also wanted to mention fire season. Representative Gomberg brought it up a little bit. This weekend, I thinned some trees, and I had a lot of brush that I need to dispose of, and tree limbs. And I thought about it because the burning ban starts July 15. So everybody, put that on your calendar. The burning ban starts July 15. I did not burn my limbs and branches because I just thought, okay, well, I'm gonna pile these up and dispose of them. You can dispose of yard debris, that kind of organic material, at the transfer stations. And ODF, Oregon Department of Forestry, has a program called Firewise, and they provide vouchers for people. They're funded by Title III funds, which the commissioners will vote on this week. We'll vote on appropriating the Title III funds. And so the Firewise program provides people with vouchers to dispose of your yard debris and organic material at the transfer stations, because having it around your house or piled up on your property is a fire hazard. So it's good for everybody. It's a great use of Title III funds. It's wonderful that ODF manages that. And that program is scheduled to start July 15th in coordination with the burning ban. So as of next week, July 15th, there's a burning ban, and you can get the vouchers to burn your yard debris and organic material. And I think that's all I have to say today. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell. Appreciate that very much. And I do apologize. I think I missed maybe the last couple of community updates. Things have been rather busy, as have I been busy. So I want to talk about a few things this morning. As Representative Gomberg mentioned about wildfire risk, a couple of weeks ago, AOCC, the Association of ONC, Oregon and California Counties, Timberland Counties, had a tour, and we went up into the Santiam Canyon. And as you remember, the Archie Creek fire up there was a devastating fire. They're still working on clearing hazard trees and things like that up along Highway 20. We were very honored to have BLM, the Oregon-Washington State Director for Bureau of Land Management, Barry Bushu, with us. Barry's just a great guy. He understands the issues, and since ONC lands basically are on BLM lands, Barry is always very nice to come along and explain things to us. He brings a lot of his staff. The issues up for the Archie Creek fire, I mean, again, we went up on top of a couple of hills and looked out over the landscape and the tens and hundreds of thousands of acres that were burned up there. It was really a sight to see. And again, you can see different ownerships, private timberlands, BLM timberlands, U.S. Forest Service timberlands, state timberlands. It's just amazing how you see those little blocks. It's just a difference in how different organizations manage their properties. And as you would imagine, private timberland owners, because they're designed for sustainable harvest, manage their forest. It seems to me, just by looking out over the landscape, they manage their forest lands the best. You have less burning. There are certain areas, U.S. Forest Service lands, some BLM lands, some state forest lands, that were just burned to a crisp, whereas a lot of the privately owned timberland acreages up there had fire through them, but still had quite a bit of standing live timber. So again, it's just a matter of management and how you do that. That was another great tour, and that was great to go up there. For those of you in South County, the Kiwanda Corridor Project is really starting to gain some momentum now. We've been working on this for several years, and we are actually starting work on the initial portions of the Kiwanda Corridor Project. So the Cape Kiwanda parking lot, because that is one of the bigger issues that we have, one that we feel will show some direct, immediate impact, is where we're starting. So we're going to start to revamp the Cape Kiwanda parking lot, as well as the bathroom, things of that nature, so that people know that we're not just planning, we are actually starting work on this project, which is terrific. I want to mention OCZMA, Oregon Coast Zone Management Association. You've heard me talk about this before. Offshore wind, BOEM, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, is just hot to trot to allow the leasing of what they're calling 2 call areas, which have been developed off of the southern Oregon coast, one off of Curry County, one off of Coos County. We have had so many questions that we have raised to BOEM, and we're just not getting any answers. OCZMA and many county commissions and fishing groups and port groups have written letters to BOEM, and actually we got a couple of letters from our federal legislators also, asking BOEM to slow this process down until we can get appropriate answers to the issues that have been raised for offshore wind that have not been answered. And the vast majority of questions that we ask have not been answered. So we will see where that goes. Very proud to announce that a couple of weeks ago, on Monday the 27th actually, Amazon and Astound Broadband held 2 public meetings at the Kiwanda Community Center in Pacific City. They are bringing a new fiber optic cable from Singapore to the Wainema Christian Camp area. They've been working with the Wainema Christian Camp for a couple of years now. All the property owners in the area seem to be on board and love the idea of bringing this Amazon cable from across the Pacific, all the way from Singapore. So this is going to be a great example of how things should work, unlike the previous cable that landed near Cherry Del Mar. This cable, they've really gone out and done the public outreach to the communities and to the county. Astound Broadband has done a terrific job of negotiating with Amazon Cable. As we bring this cable in, it'll go by Cherry Del Mar, it'll go up Highway 101 into Tillamook, and then straight over Highway 6. And again, the cooperative agreements that Astound Broadband and Amazon Cable in cooperation with Tillamook Lightwave has been just terrific. They're going to be having off-ramps, so normally these cables come in and they're taken to wherever they go, normally into the Hillsboro area, and that's all we get out of that. There have been a lot of agreements made now between Astound and Amazon where they're going to have off-ramps, a lot of off-ramps, even though this is a privately owned fiber optic cable. They're going to be negotiating with cell phone companies to bring cell phone towers up Highway 6, which is terrific. Again, Astound Broadband, Amazon Cable have been listening to the needs of Tillamook County. And we're going to have a joint press release, hopefully, in the near future, and I'll be able to explain a little bit more about what they're doing. But this is a great thing for Tillamook County. It really is. One other issue that I wanted to, the Oceanside Incorporation effort has started up again. We had our first public hearing again on Monday the 27th. It was a couple-hour-long public hearing, and again, I think things are going to go well. We will see. We have another public hearing coming up, and we'll see how far Oceanside can take their Oceanside Incorporation project. So with that, I will ask for any questions of Commissioner Bell or Commissioner Scar or myself before we move on. Hearing none, let's move on to the city. City of Manzanita, Mike Scott. Mike, are you with us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I really have nothing new to add that hasn't already been said about the weekend. We were very busy up here in North County, as you can imagine. I'm personally tired and sunburned today, so I must have had a good time. That's all I can figure out. So.
That's great. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you being here. City of Nehalem. Melissa Thompson-Kiefer, are you with us? Or anyone from Nehalem City Council? City of Wheeler. Do we have Doug Honeycutt with us or anyone else from the City of Wheeler? How about Rockaway Beach? Mayor Sue Wilson or any city councilors? City of Garibaldi, Mayor Tim Hall. Mayor? Everyone must be recovering from that wild 4th of July weekend. City of Bay City, Mayor McCall, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Yes, good morning. So just two things I'd like to bring up this morning. One, we're preparing for and we'll have our regular monthly city council meeting next week. So not tonight, but a week from tonight at the community hall, and the agenda will be posted on our website in a day or two so everybody can see what's on the agenda. Among other things, we'll be hearing from the Housing Commission's representative about what they're up to and how Bay City can become involved in providing solutions for that. The other aspect, several people have brought up Firewise and the WUI. So last week, the Bay City Emergency Volunteers mailed out a mailing to the 262 addresses in Bay City or the urban growth boundary that were identified as being within the wildland urban interface. So folks that are directly affected by that in Bay City or, like I said, or in the urban growth boundary should have a letter explaining more with a pamphlet talking about it in their mailboxes. Should have received it by now or should be getting it today or tomorrow. Take a look at that. If you have any questions, call us at City Hall. We're more than happy to work with you and help you adapt your property so that it is prepared for wildfires and prepared to protect your property there. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor McCall. Thanks for being here. So City of Tillamook, is my understanding that Nathan George will not be able to be here today or I believe next Tuesday. Let's move on to South County. Doug Olson. Doug, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, Commissioner.
There you are. Good morning.
Yes, as you've heard, we had a nice event at Clover's Day on Saturday. Short parade, but a high-quality parade right down the middle of Highway 101, including Clover the Cow, and a nice parade of John Deere tractors, including a youngster who was 10 years old who got to drive his tractor right down the middle of Highway 101. You don't see that every day either. Then we had our fireworks last night, a pretty spectacular display right on the beach. So those things are behind us, and now today we begin our premier event in South County, which is Dory Days, and that will be coming up here in about 2 weeks. So we have a chamber meeting today. We'll be talking about that, and the planning is pretty much in place. The craft fair is sold out. The parade is getting larger every day. And of course, we're having a fish fry that we haven't had now for 3 years. And that will be a big thing that starts at noon at the Kiwanda Community Center. Fish and I think probably coleslaw, beans, and a few other things. A wonderful way to spend an afternoon in the middle of July. So with that, Commissioner, that's it for this week.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that very much. So, time being 8:56, we will adjourn this community update. I want to thank especially KTIL, as they do every week, for broadcasting this event, and I want to thank everyone for attending. Thanks for being here.